UFC 296 is coming up next weekend, and guys, today I am going to be breaking down and giving my prediction for Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington, the main event. I'd love for you to hear me out, and then I'd love to hear what you think in the comments down below afterwards. We're going to get into that in just a second. Before we do, though, I do want to say hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's start things off with the tail of the tape. All right, this is an exciting fight, guys. Honestly, I'm kind of with the odds on this one. You have a minus 135 slight favorite in Leon Edwards plus a barely an underdog in Colby Covington. This is a fantastic matchup, guys. Important to note, though, Colby Covington, at this point in his career, is 35 years old, almost 36 years old. I think that's very important to note because that's pretty much when you start going to your downslope. Like, he's definitely out of his prime by now. But it's important to note his age because Colby Covington fights with such relentless pressure and crazy cardio that at some point we are going to see him significantly change in that sense. So that could very well be this fight, and that's something that I'm actually worried about. But other than that, Leon Edwards, he's still in his prime, just exiting his prime. Weight, of course, the same. Leon Edwards has a height advantage and a little bit of a reach advantage. And honestly, that might be something to consider too because Leon Edwards does use his range very well. But let's talk about the records, okay? Let's talk about the recent fights. Recent as you can get with Colby Covington. Leon Edwards has been on a crazy win streak. He seems to be more active than he actually is, in my opinion at least. Of course, we're looking 4 years ago with Rafael dos Anjos, and then of course the eye poke to Bilal Muhammad. But then he beat Nate Diaz in a fight that he almost let slip from him. What I wanted to say when taking a look at this is Leon Edwards' record isn't exactly aging too well because of this Kamaru Usman win. He was getting dominated the whole fight. And in this fight, he beat Kamaru Usman, but at the same time, he didn't really look that impressive. You know, Leon Edwards just kind of coasts through his opponents, but he does a very good job at it. He has very good wrestling, very good striking. He's a very, very good all-around fighter. The only thing you could argue is he might lack a little bit of a BJJ game, but at the same time, he doesn't really use it all that often. So it's not fair to say that Leon Edwards doesn't have any submissions, right? He's taking on Colby Covington, who also has been more inactive. We're looking back 4 years ago against Robbie Lawler. Then, of course, he had the loss to Kamaru Usman, which was a good performance. He dominated Tyron Woodley, lost to Kamaru Usman again in a very close fight. Some people thought that he won this fight. I personally think that he lost this fight, but it was close enough to where I understand the complaints. And then you have the domination win, the 50-44 over Jorge Masvidal. So, it's important to note, Colby Covington has almost been off for 2 years while Leon Edwards fought just 8 months ago. I worry about ring rust for Colby Covington a lot in this fight. I really, really do. Again, like I mentioned, he's almost 36 years old, and I really worry about him stepping back in to this case. I don't know if it's a good idea to fight a guy that has looked as good as Leon Edwards, a guy that's so technically sound because Colby Covington, and this is where I'll switch it up in just a second, Colby Covington is one of those fighters, while he does have underrated striking. I know a lot of people really like to clown on Colby Covington's striking a lot, to be honest with you, but he does have good technique. He has good pace. He can really, really get to you, and the only problem is he kind of has pillow fists. Leon Edwards, I could very well see catching him. To be honest with you, I can see him catching Colby Covington with a head kick, just like Kamaru Usman. I see Colby open for front kicks a lot. I could very well see Leon Edwards finding a finish here, but it's just one of those things where who's going to be able to implement their game plan? Is Leon Edwards going to be able to stay on the outside? Maybe, just maybe, use wrestling of his own. I would imagine that he wouldn't do so good in the wrestling, but then again, he surprised everybody with the way he wrestled Kamaru Usman. Could do the same thing to Colby Covington. How I see this fight going, when these two step in the ring together, is Colby Covington being tentative, just like he was in the second Kamaru Usman fight. It was so evident that he was so nervous coming to that fight, and it took him to getting dropped to actually wake up in that fight. Okay? I see that same case happening with Leon Edwards because this is Colby Covington's last chance for a title opportunity. There's no way that he gets another title shot after this if he loses. He'll need to demolish the rest of the division. And that's saying that if he even beats them. So I wholeheartedly believe Colby Covington is going to come into this fight nervous and tentative, just like he was with Kamaru Usman. Maybe the same thing will happen. Maybe he'll get dropped. But let's assume that that doesn't happen, okay? How do these two match up? I believe that Colby Covington definitely has a wrestling advantage, and Leon Edwards definitely has a striking advantage. But this is where the 50-50 comes in the sense where I don't know if Colby's pressure is going to be able to get to Leon Edwards, or is Leon Edwards going to be able to jab, leg kick, keep him on the outside? I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I really do believe this is kind of close to a 50-50 fight, and that's why it's so exciting. For my official prediction, though, I am going to be picking Leon Edwards. Ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. Just because, and it's not because of the matchup, to be honest with you, because I think the matchup, like I said, is 50-50. I think with Colby Covington heading towards 36 years old, being offered 2 years, and probably coming into this fight very tentative, and don't forget, we know that Mr. Trump is going to be in the audience. And that means a lot to Colby Covington. I understand like some people might laugh at that, but that means a lot. That is a huge deal. You know how many eyes are going to be there? Wow. A former president is going to be there to watch Colby Covington perform. Imagine you being in that scenario. A former president is there, looking forward to your fight, coming to your fight because of you. I think there is so much going on with Colby Covington right now. I think that there is so much pressure on him, and we've seen it get to him in the Kamaru Usman fight. We've seen it get to him. I think that's going to affect his performance. Plus, I can't say his cardio is going to be the same over 5 rounds with 2 years off and him being almost 36 years old. I don't have faith in that. I think there's too many questions for Colby Covington to pick him in this fight. That's why I'm picking Leon Edwards. But if Colby Covington shows up in the Colby Covington that fought against Tyron Woodley or Robbie Lawler, I think he very well can win this fight, and I wouldn't be shocked if he did. I think this is a 50-50 fight, but with the outside circumstances looking at it, I believe that Leon Edwards does have the advantage in this fight. Guys, let me know what you think about that down below. Let me know who you're picking and why. I would love to hear you about you in the comment section down below because it's a really tough fight. It's a really exciting fight. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you so much for watching this video, everybody. On the screen right now, if you'd like to continue watching the Clenbat channel, there'll be 2 videos on screen for you to check out. I will see you either there or in the next video, everybody. Take care.